Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us at today's webinar, Goal Setting for Your Career in Canada. Before we begin, a land acknowledgement. Achēv acknowledges that the land on which we live, work, and gather, even virtually, is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. The land on which the region of Peel and the regional municipality of Halton operates is rich in history and modern traditions of many First Nations and Métis peoples. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work on the land, and by doing so, we give our respect to its first inhabitants. We're dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. Now, anytime during today's webinar, please do interact and engage with us. You can either do that through the chat if you just want to say hi, if you just want to talk with some of our panelists, or if you have a question, I do highly recommend you use the Q&A feature, which will allow us to answer your questions at the end of the webinar. So we have a great presentation lined up, but afterwards, we will answer all your questions. So use that Q&A feature. We also have a survey. Now you don't need to write down this URL because you will receive a video recording in an email after this webinar, which also features the survey. If you can just fill it out, it takes less than a minute. It really does help us prepare for future webinars so we can keep delivering great content such as this. Moving on, who is here today? My name is Gavin. Thank you for joining us. I'm the content developer at the Career Loans program. Our guest speaker today is Sarah, Mentorship Facilitator with the Edmonton Region Immigrant Employment Council, or ERIEC. And we have my colleague Venus, who is the Information and Financial Counselor with the Career Loans program as well. We're going to hear from all of them shortly. But before we begin, I do want to share a little bit more about how Career Loans can help skilled newcomers achieve their career goals. So with that in mind, I'm going to play a short video.
I'm Rianne Mendoza, and I came to Canada from the Philippines last year in November.
Hello, my name is Ifoma. I came to Canada June 2019.
My desired occupation in Canada is a privacy lawyer.
And my desire is to work as a medical doctor in Canada. The major challenge that I was facing was financial.
I don't have the sufficient resources in order for me to enroll.
I used part of the money that I got from Career Loans to register for the first part of the exam.
I was able to enroll in the training programs to becoming a privacy professional.
To buy a mini laptop that I would use to prepare for the exams.
To purchase all the required texts.
Ever since I applied to Career Loans, I can say that my career outlook is definitely brighter.
I will also be getting my certification for Asia.
Because I've gotten the assistance that I needed. I've been able to register for the exams.
I am now more prepared to become a privacy professional in Canada.
Things are looking brighter. Yeah, I just feel like, I'm getting closer to my goal.
And thanks to Career Loans, I am now more confident and in my way towards my journey of becoming a privacy professional here in Canada.
So that was just a short video about how we're helping newcomers in Alberta and Saskatchewan achieve their career goals. We'll hear more from Venus about the program later, but let's talk about today's schedule. First, I'll be introducing our guest speaker, Sarah, who will then be talking about goal setting for your career in Canada. A wonderful presentation is lined up. Afterwards, after Sarah's presentation, Venus will be talking about how the Career Loans program can help newcomers achieve their career goals. And of course, number 4 on the agenda, we have the Q&A session. But anytime during today's live webinar, whenever you have a question, do use our Q&A feature. We will get to all your questions during the 4th agenda item, Q&A session. Afterwards, we will conclude, give out all information, contact information, so you can get in touch with us and learn more about our future webinars as well. So before we begin, I do want to introduce today's guest speaker, Sarah. Sarah is a certified career development professional and a registered professional recruiter. She's over 10 years of HR experience as an internationally trained professional and has been working in career development in Canada for 5 years. After supporting and availing the services of various settlement agencies across Edmonton as an internationally trained individual, Sarah started as an ERIEC mentee in 2016 and now manages the intake, retention, and performance management of the ERIEC mentees. She enjoys working with immigrants as a way of paying it forward for all the insight and support she received during her settlement journey. Thank you for joining us, Sarah. May you please turn on your camera. Hi, Sarah. How's it going today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm excited for today's presentation, and I'm sure a lot of our audience members are today. We're just going to wait for your screen to load up a bit. It looks like we'll give it a second. Let's see. It's perfect. Okay, awesome. So Sarah, just let me know when you want to change slides, and I will do so.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much, Gavin, and I'm sorry for that glitch. And again, I'm Sarah, and I'm here to talk about goal setting for your career in Canada. And I would like Gavin to proceed to the next slide. And yeah, as I've mentioned earlier, we're talking about the importance of goal setting. We'll be discussing about the importance of goal setting. How do you make good versus bad? We have to compare good versus bad goals, and we will be talking about staying motivated. And I have a great video about staying motivated in order for us to reach our goal. But first, let's describe what is goal setting and why is it important. Gavin, next slide, please. I would like us to identify what are the positive effects of goal setting. Why is it important for us to set goals? Why do we need to set goals when we arrive in Canada as a newcomer? Why do we need to stay motivated? So the positive effects of our goal setting is it gives us an opportunity to stay focused, right? As a newcomer to Canada, there's a lot of things that keeps us busy, right? We are trying to navigate this new environment, and sometimes there could be a lot of disruptions to our goal setting processes because we take a lot of hats, right? Like for me, when I came to Canada, I needed to focus as a mother as well, and at the same time, I needed to be with my husband because we had been far away from each other for several years, right? He went here first, and then together as a family, we arrived with my son, and we arrived here in Canada, and eventually my attention is focused on too many things. I have to manage the house, I have to make sure that my son is going to school and everything, and I have to build my relationship with my husband as well. So my attention is all over the place. So I have to make a personal goal. I have to make sure that I still am developing myself. I put my energy and I have to be persistent on what I want. So at that point in time as a newcomer, I said to myself, I love helping people. I'm motivated in helping people. I used to work in HR. I love connecting people with the right attitude, the right mindset, and the right skills with the right opportunity. So I focus my attention on that. So that's one of the positive effects of goal setting personally for me. And moving on to the next slide. Okay, so moving on, I would like to share this slide because I would like to describe goal setting as a process, as a planning process, right? So it's important for us to identify our goals, to identify what we want to do, what we want to achieve. However, we also have to be mindful of the task, of the processes that we have to do in order for us to achieve our goals. I would like to describe, or I would like to identify goal setting as unleashing our superpowers. What do I mean about that? Goal setting is about identifying, making inventory of what are your strengths. It's a self-reflection process. You have to identify your values. What's important to you? What do I love to do most, right? What keeps me going every day, right? So in this productivity pyramid, we are identifying, right? So what are our values? What's important to me? Because that will keep us motivated in identifying daily tasks in order for us to move forward and identify resources, right? What are the resources that I need? Do I need people? Do I need to reach out to people like career loans, right? We also have to take inventory of our strengths, our weaknesses, right? Our challenges and our barriers. And career loans, as well as ERIEC, right? We are here to support you identify those gaps. We are here to connect you with the right individual or the right people who could mentor you or who could give you more information on how to succeed here in Canada. So I would like to share this productivity pyramid in order to remind us, right, that it's important for us to know what is important, but it's also important for us to know what are the things that we have to identify. Identify the things that we lack, but we also have to identify our superpowers so that we could also invest in ourselves and tell ourselves that we can do it. We can reach our goal by investing ourselves, and we need help. And we could reach out to people such as ERIEC or Career Loans or anyone who could give you some recommendations and strategies in order for you to succeed and achieve your goal. Moving on to the next slide. Why is goal setting important? As I've mentioned earlier, right? Goal setting is a planning process. I know we will be moving on to the SMART technique, right? Like goal setting, we always hear about this. The goal setting is a planning process. We have to identify SMART goals, right? But we also have to also remember that it's a process wherein we need to take action, right? We have to set positive expectations. And this goal setting process will help you achieve your dreams and goals and what you would like to offer, right, in the community, what you would like to contribute, right? What makes you happy? What makes you passionate, right? For me, I'm very passionate in helping newcomers. And I'm so glad that I had this opportunity to discuss goal setting and discussing about your passion and taking action to reach your goals. Moving on to the next slide, as I mentioned, we will be discussing about SMART goals, and we have to connect this with the job search opportunities in Canada or the labor market in Canada. So we always hear about setting SMART goals, and why is it important, right? So as we always hear that we have to be specific with our goal, right? With our job search in Canada, we have to be specific. Canada, as some of you might know, is the land of specialists. Right, so I remember myself being a newcomer and visiting a staffing agency, and I was there and I was asked, okay, so what do you want to do, and what job are you looking for? And at that point in time, I was not very specific. I was not very confident with what I really want to do, and I said, anything, right? Like I can do anything. I can do anything about administration and HR. I was not specific. I have a lot of things in mind that I would like to do, and I'm not confident about my the particular goal that I really want to reach at that point in time. So again, setting a SMART goals, we have to be specific with what we would like to achieve. Next, it has to be measurable. There has to be a timeline, right? Like all of us have different goals, and the only way for us to see or to measure whether we are making progress or if it's time for us to let go of that goal if we're not achieving or we're not making any progress, it's by measuring our our result or our progress, right? So it's very important for us to identify measurable timelines and measurable goals. And in order for us to identify, okay, I have to stop. If this is not working, I can move on to the next step or to the next goal that I would like to achieve in the future. And it has to be achievable and realistic, right? So I know all of us, we all have superpowers, right? So I've earlier advised about identifying your strengths, identifying your superpowers, right? So I believe goal setting is about unleashing your superpowers. However, we also have to be realistic, right? We also have to study the labor market in Canada, right? Like it's for example, I'm selling air condition during winter, right? So it's not gonna make me successful in my goal, because nobody would like to buy my product because it's not realistic, right? Because right now it's the winter time and nobody needs more colder weather or colder condition, right? So yeah, so our goal should be achievable and realistic. And it has to be, we also have to do a lot of research, right? In order for us to identify whether these goals are achievable or realistic. And that's when ERIEC helps newcomers, right? So we identify mentors who could guide you, whether you're identifying specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely goals for your personal development. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, so how do we identify good versus bad goals? So earlier I've mentioned about I'm not being specific, right? So that's also one of the criteria of a bad goal, right? Like one of the hardest things about goal setting is identifying whether we have good goals or bad goals, and it's easy. It can be confusing at times. So I would identify people who could guide me, right? Because I'm new in this environment. Canada is a new place for me, and I would identify mentors, right? Like I would reach out to mentors who could give me suggestions whether I'm identifying a good goal or a bad goal. So we also have to be mindful about our behavior, right? Whenever we are trying to reach our goals, because sometimes when we are doing it by ourselves, right, we tend to get discouraged, right, because we are not making progress. But for some of us, we might think we are not making progress, but for other people, they think we are getting there, right? Like if earlier during my my immigrant journey, right, I was able to get several transitional goals, and then I feel that I'm not making any progress, but eventually I talked to a mentor, and my mentor motivated me and told me that I'm actually making progress, because those are good roles that I'm getting, and I just need to retrack, right? Be positive about what my current condition right now, and identify other ways for me to get and reach my my long-term goal. Okay, so I have this video. So the next part of my presentation is about staying motivated. And in the video, I have here Reggie Myers. He's a previous football star from the Denver, Colorado, and he's also a motivational speaker. I would like you to focus on the video. First, it might seem ironic with what I have mentioned earlier, because he's gonna mention, don't focus on your goal, focus on your behavior, right? So it seems ironic, but eventually I would like us to focus on his message about our behaviors whenever we are trying to reach our goals. So it's a very good video for us. His example is sometimes funny or maybe not, but it's a great opportunity for us to learn about the importance of focusing on the areas of our control when we are trying to achieve our goals. Thank you.
All right, so if you want to achieve your goals, don't focus on them. That goes against everything we've ever said about goals, right? Everything everyone ever talks about goals is you pick out what it is you want to do, you set your goals, you write them down, you stay focused on them, you check your list over and over again, you come back to it, and that's how you achieve your goals. Well, I have learned over the course of my life and watching other people and studying other things that that is not the way to achieve goals. We all talk about setting goals, but we don't talk that much about how do you actually achieve goals. So I started learning this lesson with my first girlfriend in life. Her name was Lysandra Johnson. You guys have never seen Lysandra, you have to take my word for it. She was the most beautiful sixth grader God had ever created. And for the record, I was in sixth grade too. I used to look at this girl and think every day, I would love for Lysandra to be my girlfriend. But I was young and I was afraid, so I didn't go say anything to her. Well, one day I'm standing on the playground during recess. I don't know where the courage came from, but I decided today is the day. I wasn't going to wait another day. I turned to my buddy, John Statura, and I said, John, go ask Lysandra to go with me. So he goes walking over to her and he poses the question. Her little group of friends giggles. She says something back. He comes walking back to me and he said, Reggie, Lysandra said if you weren't her to be your girlfriend, you've got to ask her yourself. I thought, I'm in sixth grade. I sent my best man. What does she want? Well, there was no way I was going to ask her myself, so I continued to think about her for the rest of that school year. Summer break came, and I thought about Lysandra Johnson every day of summer break. The next year was seventh grade. At my school, you had a different class every hour and lockers between classes. Well, first hour, I had wood shop. First hour, Lysandra had home economics. At my school, you're allowed to change one class as long as the class you're moving out of met at the same time as the class you're moving into. So I walked in the principal's office, said, I'd like to change from wood shop to home economics. I walk in the home ec room. There are 22 or 23 girls in this classroom, one boy named Jurgen Kuhn, and now me. I asked a girl named Tara Vergamini to move over so I could sit next to Lysandra Johnson, and that day, I asked her to go with me myself. Thank you. Thank you. She said no. That was my first lesson in the prerogative of women. There would be many more. But to make a long story short, Lysandra did end up becoming my girlfriend for 2 weeks and 3 days later in that school year. But I tell that story because that's the first time in my life that I can say that I purposely focused on the part that was in my control and ignored the part that was outside of my control. That was the first time in my life that I purposely focused on my behaviors rather than my goal. We set goals for ourselves, but our goals are things that are outside of our control. Whatever it is you want to achieve in your life, if you're a student and you want to get an A in a class, that's outside of your control. You don't get to write A's on all of your papers. You have a teacher who's going to grade those papers. You have a teacher who's going to give you assignments. Somebody else is setting the curriculum. Somebody else is grading you. You don't control what your grade is. If you want to be the world's best salesman, you don't get to make all the sales yourself. You don't get to do both sides of the transaction. You got to recruit customers into your life. Goals require you to have the participation of other people. Therefore, they are outside of your control. So if you spend too much time focusing on your goals, you never achieve them. Behaviors, by contrast, are things that you alone can do. It doesn't take a parent, a teacher, a coach, a friend, a neighbor, a spouse, a child. It doesn't require anyone else. You alone can do behaviors. And behaviors are the things that you focus on in order to achieve your goals. You know, and look at the situation with Lysandra Johnson and I. When I was focused on my goal, which was to have this girl be my girlfriend, I couldn't speak to her if I was walking past her in the hallway. In my head, all the time was, Lysandra's cute, I want her to be my girlfriend. Lysandra's cute, I want her to be my girlfriend. We're walking past her in the hallway, I would turn the other way. I would not even say hello to her because I was terrified. All I could think about was my goal. When she told my friend John, if Reggie wants me to be his girlfriend, he's got to ask me himself, I heard yes. So I stopped thinking about the goal. The goal had already been achieved. I came back to focusing on my behaviors. Once I started focusing on my behaviors, I figured out what class she had in first hour. I learned the rules at our school about changing classes. I went to the principal's office talking to adults, saying, hey, listen, I got to change classes. I got a girl to catch. I walk in the home ec room, a room full of girls. I was afraid to talk to one girl. Now there's a room full of girls. And I was like, ladies, I'm here. I asked Tara to move over so I could sit next to Lysandra, and she did. I had a little swagger to me because I heard yes. And when I heard yes, I stopped focusing on the goal and I started focusing on my behavior, and I got myself in a position to achieve my goal. Well, she said no at the time, but later she said yes. But I learned years later when I looked back and I thought about that, I thought that's really the model for what happens in life. It's a metaphor. If you think about what we all go through with, say, weight loss. We're all on a diet at one point or another. I'm on one now, involuntarily. My wife has put me on one. But we're all on a diet at one point or another. And how does a diet start? It starts with a goal. You say, I want to lose 10 pounds by the end of the year. Okay, that's great. You have a goal. If you stay focused on that goal, you will never lose 10 pounds. Because what's the next thing we do? We go from our goal to the scale. We say, okay, I'm going to step on the scale. Scale, please tell me if I've lost any of these 10 pounds. I haven't lost any pounds. I gained a pound. Okay. And we keep coming back to the scale, and you go through a week where you eat well, you're exercising, you're drinking a lot of water, you're doing all the right things, and you get on the scale and you've gained weight, you quit the diet. If you focus on your goal, you won't achieve it. Instead, you have to focus on your behaviors. Your behaviors are what are in your control. You control the food that you put in your mouth. You control the liquids that you put in your mouth. You control how much exercise you do. You control how you feel about the weight that you are. You control how you feel about the amount of food that you're eating. You could either be like, feel deprived and miserable. Oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world. I'm eating less than I used to eat and I'm starving all the time. I feel miserable. I can't believe I'm on this diet. It's awful. Or you could say, you know what, I'm proud of myself. I'm eating less than I used to eat. I had this instead of that. I feel good. I know that if I keep this up, when I get on the scale is going to tell me something good. If the scale doesn't tell me something good right now, I know that if I keep this up, I'm going to get where I'm going. Right now, we treat the scale as if the scale is an oracle sent down from God to tell us about ourselves. When you're on a diet, it's like, oh, mighty oracle, please tell me what I should think about myself today. You're fat! Oh! The oracle has spoken. If you focus too much on your goal, if you focus on what it is you weigh, then you're never going to achieve your goal. You have to focus on your behaviors. Think about our kids. We have goals for our kids. We want our kids to be responsible. We want them to be mature. We want them to work hard in school, to work hard at their extracurriculars, to hang out with the right people. We want them to be engaged. We want all these wonderful things for our kids. And because we want these things for them and because we focus on those goals for them, we spend most of our time as parents being agitated. Why are you doing that? I told you not to do that. Get over here, do your homework. What? You're only one page in? I told you to get your homework done. And we spend all our time fussing and fussing and fussing because these kids won't do what we have in mind for them in terms of our goals. We are focused on our goal. If you focus on your goal, you'll never achieve it. You have to focus on your behaviors. Behaviors are things that are in your control solely. So you can't control what your kids do. You can control your reaction to your kids. You control rewards. You control consequences. You control your consistency. You control whether you deliver on the things that you say you're going to do. You control whether you respond to your kids at a level 10 or a level 3. You control what you control. And when you focus on the part that's in your control, which are your behaviors, you tend to achieve your goals. So how does this work? The way that I do it in my life, when I set a goal for myself, I make a goal and I'll say, whatever it is, I want to lose 10 pounds. So then I immediately look and I say, behaviors are very short term. I only believe that I can control my behaviors for 7 days. That's it. So when I set a goal, I say, what can I do today that's going to help me get closer to that goal? What can I do tomorrow that's going to help me get closer to that goal? And what can I do this week that's going to get me closer to that goal? Today, tomorrow, and this week. I write things down in those 3 categories and plan out how I'm going to go after the goals that I have in my life. And that gets me focused on my behaviors. And I know that if I focus on my behaviors day after day, I keep myself motivated day after day. I feel good about what I've done because I say, I did this, I did that, I did that. I'm not worried about the goal. I'm not worried about how much I weigh. I'm not worried about how many sales I've made. I'm not worried about anything that's outside of my control. I'm focused 100% on the part that's in my control. If you want to achieve your goals, don't focus on them. If you want to achieve your goals, you have to focus on the behaviors that are the building blocks that get you to your goals. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gavin, for playing the video. Yeah, I really like that video, and it keeps me motivated in checking myself and my goals, right? And my behavior towards my goals. So what I like about that video is about the importance of focusing on our locus of control. So, or the areas of our control. So to end that part, I would like to thank everyone for staying in this session. And yeah, I feel I would like to encourage everyone to get excited in identifying your goals, taking action, and focusing on our behaviors as well towards our goal, and identifying bite-sized strategies or day-to-day activities in order for us to stay motivated and identify ways to measure our progress and be good to ourselves, right? We as immigrants, we try to be hard on ourselves. Sometimes we are not giving credit to everything that we do, and we are investing a lot on ourselves during this period in time. But we have to also be gentle on ourselves, be mindful that you are making progress. And if you need more motivation or more insight on how to identify identify strategies in order for you to identify SMART goals, reach out to mentors, right? We have a great program with ERIEC. We have more mentors who are experts in identifying SMART goals in your particular industry, right? So I thank Career Loans for the opportunity for me to present our mentorship program and our networking events. You could visit our website to learn more about mentorship and networking. And I'd also like to invite everyone to join us for our Global Talent Conference session for next month. Our website also contains information about that session, and I highly recommend everyone to join us and be part of this once a year event, which is one of the most largest networking event for newcomers in Alberta. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much, Career Loans, for the opportunity to inspire everyone about career goals and looking for jobs in Canada. Thank you, Gavin and Venus.
Thank you so much, Sarah, for that wonderful presentation. As always, if you do have questions, leave them in the Q&A so that we can get to them at the end of today's presentation. Up next, I'd like to invite Venus to please turn on her camera. Venus will be talking about how the Career Loans program can help newcomers in Alberta and Saskatchewan so that we can help you achieve your career goals. So without further ado, please take it away, Venus. And of course, anytime during this presentation, do type in the comments in the Q&A. We want to get those questions and we'll answer them after Venus's presentation.
Thanks, Gavin. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am going to be presenting about the Career Loans program and how it works. I'm just sharing the screen now. I hope that everyone can see my screen. Yes.
Looks good to me. Yes, perfect.
Okay. Thanks, Gavin. All right, so Career Loans is actually a government-funded program which is coordinated by Achēv, and our financial institution is HSBC Bank. So about Career Loans is a fully virtual service for internationally trained individuals in Alberta and Saskatchewan. We provide free career support service in a form of career counseling, as well as access to a microloan and guidance to your accreditation process. Some program features is basically free career and financial counseling, low interest microloan up to $15,000, referral to employment services, and guide to accreditation process, advice for alternative careers in case you are considering one. So who's eligible for career loans? Internationally trained individuals in regulated or non-regulated occupations and trades, residents of Alberta or Saskatchewan who are permanent residents, Canadian citizens, and convention refugees with a minimum Canadian language benchmark of level 5. Because you still need to be able to communicate easily and in case you're going to a training program, communicate easily and be comfortable and make sure that you understand and can respond. Some of the benefits once you become a member to the Career Loans Program is support services from our expert counselor in the form of a personalized one-on-one session, which is virtual, in which we discuss your career path and options. We get to know you better in those sessions to hear about your goals and your experiences and the research you have done so far since you arrived in Canada, the steps you've taken, of course, your goals and how best we can support you. So after that session, which is virtual, we create a personalized action plan. That plan gets emailed to you with the recommendations. And all of this is virtual, provided by phone or online video conferencing platform like Zoom. Other benefits actually is live webinars, such as this one, catered towards our newcomers with guest speakers on the relevant topics, as well as accessing our previous webinars. And I encourage you to do that. There is tons of recorded past webinars on our website, really providing great content and information. And as well as access to the calendar of your, like an event calendar of your province. So this is an infographic, I really like this one, sorry, that it explains the process. So once you locate your dream job and you learn about the requirements, sometimes you understand that you need to get certification here or go through a retraining. And at that point, you register for our program, you approach us, and we get in touch with you for that one-on-one session. And then, as I said, in that session, we get to know you. At that point, if you choose to go on for the loan to access funding to pay for the training or recertification, we can move to the next stage. However, taking out the loan is not mandatory. It doesn't mean that if you approach us and you talk to us, you have to take a loan. It's actually there for you should you need it. So how we help is in a form of a career counseling session, which is virtual, referral to the local service provider, such as ERIEC, really grateful. I have been grateful to the staff there, sending our clients for support there, and we're really hearing great feedback. And in case if you need access to funding for training, certification, credential evaluation, for anything related to you relaunching your career here, you can access our microloan. So some features about the microloan, as I said, is provided by our partner at HSBC Bank, and the maximum is $15,000. The minimum is $1,500. The interest rate right now is HSBC Prime plus 2%. At the moment, it is 4.45%. So the interest rate is locked for the term of the loan. The loan repayment can be up to 4 years, and during the approval process, even beyond, you continue to receive support from us. Some eligible expenses here is actually credential assessment, training, material fees such as books and online downloads, any career-related fees like exams, licensure, membership association, and union fees. And if there is an expense that you're not sure whether it can be covered under the loan, you can always approach me. I'll be glad to provide information to you. So as I said, our service is free and it is virtual. If you have any question, I'll be glad to answer them. And here is the contact information for both Alberta and Saskatchewan. If you have friends in Saskatchewan and you like to pass this information to them, please do so. You can always reach us through the social media platforms that we are active on. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Venus. So again, like I said, if you have any questions about Sarah's presentation, about Venus and the Career Loans program, do type them into the Q&A, because actually now we are going to go to that Q&A section. So I'm actually going to ask Venus and Sarah to please turn on your cameras again, and we are going to take on some of the questions. Looking at the chat, and of course, it's not too late to type into the Q&A box as well. I noticed a few questions. I think the first one, and Sarah, you might have already answered them directly, but could you just clarify earlier on in your presentation? So someone's asking about being a specialist in Canada. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, I was actually responding to Faye. I believe it was Faye. So yeah, so I've mentioned to Faye what I mean about being a specialist in Canada and about goal setting is, yeah, we've mentioned about identifying SMART goals, right? So I've mentioned about being specific, right? So in the job search process, it's also very important to be very specific of what you want to be or what are you applying for. So that was the intention why I'm giving you that example, right? Same thing with goal setting. We have to be specific with our goals. And I was just using the term we have to identify ourselves as a specialist, right? Similarly with goal setting, we have to be specific of what we want and where we want to go and what we want to achieve. Same thing with the job search process. When we are invited for the interview, we also have to be very specific in identifying our strengths and what we can offer to the employer and what are we applying for, why are we there. I always encourage clients, right, whenever they're introducing themselves, they have to identify 3 things: who you are, why are you qualified, and why are you there. So that covers who you are. You have to be specific on what you want, what you can offer the employer, and that's what it means of being a specialist.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you very much. Another question, more general. This might sound a bit more general, but I think we can all give advice. Venus yourself as well. How do you avoid procrastination, Sarah?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I believe everyone does that. And I do that myself as well. But what works for me, right? Because we are all different. But what works for me is I try to reward myself. Or sometimes I try to delay my rewards to myself. Like I delayed gratifications. Like for example, I have this goal of having this presentation with everyone. So once I'm done with this presentation, I'm going to watch one of my favorite movies again, right? So that's one way for me to keep motivated, because I wanted some time for myself, and that's what is important for me. I need to spend time for myself to re-energize, right? So that's how I reward myself. So it depends for everyone, right? So what works for you? For me, it's all about rewarding myself and giving myself some me time for myself.
Absolutely fantastic. I want to ask Venus, is there anything else you want to add about any tips about avoiding procrastination?
Yes, fantastic question. Thanks, Sarah, for answering that as well. I would say break the process down to small manageable steps. And once you are achieving one little task or steps, then definitely reward yourself, as Sarah said, and really celebrate that. And do not look at it as a big whole goal that, oh my God, this is too much, this is too big, this is too long. Because each time that you say something like that to yourself, you need someone to repeat positive things to you for 17 times to basically counter that. So you wanted to help yourself and always see the strength in you, as Sarah said, and celebrate your achievement, small achievements.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Thank you, Venus and Sarah. I see a few questions which might be better suited for Venus about the Career Loans program. And again, if you're asking a specific question about, your personal situation, do feel free to get in touch with our counselors directly. Just for the sake of the webinar, we don't want to go too general into your individual situation. So I apologize if we can't get to every question. This one is more general. So can you talk, Venus, can you talk a bit more about the interest rate for the career loans?
Sure. So the interest rate is 4.45%. It is locked in for the term of your loan. So what does that mean? Meaning that, let's say that you apply for a $3,000 micro loan and you get approved. So once you sign the papers, your interest rate is 4.45%. And let's say that you're supposed to repay the loan in 2 years. So during that time, during the 2 years, if the interest rate changes in the bank, you are not going to be impacted. And so that for that 2 years, for that term, it is locked in. And then for the payment, payment always includes principal and interest, and it's a monthly payment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. This one's for Sarah. So of course, Career Loans has clients in both Alberta and Saskatchewan. Can I apply for services of ERIEC being a Saskatoon resident, or do you have any other alternatives you can suggest?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And unfortunately for our mentorship program, we accommodate clients who are physically in Edmonton. And what I would suggest is they could also join us for our networking events. I believe Elena would also welcome clients who are interested in watching our Global Talent Conference for next month. So yeah, that would be another option if you would like to learn more about mentorship, networking, and job search. I would highly recommend to watch our networking events as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sarah. This one's for Venus. In regards to the microloan, is it only for study? Is there a possibility to get the loan to start up a business?
Great question. So generally, it is designed for those who are looking into relaunching their career here, whether going back to their careers from back home or considering new careers. So you are basically looking into getting employment after you complete your training. For small business, unfortunately, our program doesn't cover that, but I think there are other resources that you can actually access. So there might be some, I'm not sure, maybe Sarah can answer to this. There might be some mentorship even opportunities for small business, people who are looking basically to start small business.
Yeah, I believe in Alberta, there's nonprofit organizations like Business Link, right? They could reach out to Business Link or Futurepreneur, or yeah, there are nonprofits, and yeah, I could send out information of those nonprofits in especially in Edmonton, if someone is interested about mentorship or reaching out to those nonprofits as well.
Awesome. And I will share everyone's contact information at the end of the presentation and in my follow-up email. One person had wanted to see the last slide of Sarah's presentation again. So I'm just going to share that again real quick. And of course, Sarah, if you wanted to go over that and talk about what ERIEC can offer. This is the slide.
Yeah, awesome. And yeah, thank you so much for that question. So yeah, it's a great opportunity for me to introduce our program. So at ERIEC, we do have two streams of programs. We do have the mentorship and the networking. I work for the mentorship part, and we welcome newcomers or permanent residents who had at least 2 years of professional experience from back home, and we pair them or we match them with business leaders or mentors within the Edmonton region. So for example, if you're an accountant, we can match you with another accountant, an engineer, we can match you with another engineer. And I used to be a mentee as well. I used to work in HR, and I was paired with an amazing HR mentor. And we had an opportunity to discuss about different areas about job search, alternative careers, and job retention, and career management and achievement. So we were yeah, I have a very good opportunity to discuss with the mentor all these areas. And eventually I found an opportunity to work with a nonprofit while I was still in the mentorship program through the guidance of my mentor, who has been amazing in identifying SMART goals with me. And on the other hand, we also have an amazing team called the networking team, and they are arranging wonderful events such as speed career networking events, smart connection, and they also have a connector program. So the connector program also connects mentees or connectees to mentors or connectors, and they get an opportunity as well to discuss different areas about job search with a connector for at least an hour or a maximum or a half an hour to a maximum of an hour with a connector, and they get an opportunity to be matched with another connector who will do the same thing all over again, right? So like one connector could introduce them to 1, 2, or 3 other connectors who could do the same process for them. So those are our programs. They are amazing programs. If you're from Edmonton, we highly encourage you to reach out to us, and we could give you more information about our services.
Thank you, Sarah. And just as a follow-up, someone's asking, how do I apply for the mentorship program? Is it through contacting you at this phone number and email?
Absolutely. They could send me an email, or they could reach out. They can call the office. They can send an email to info@eriec.ca. But most of our applications, we accept them online. So I recommend you visit our website. Our website is www.eriec.ca. And there's a button on how, there's a portion wherein you have to click on career mentorship. And then there's a button on how to be a mentee. Like there's a section on how to be a mentee. You click on that, and then you could also click on that button and then fill out your information, upload your resume, and someone will reach out to you to give you more information about the next steps. Or you can send an email so that I could give you more information about all those steps that I was discussing earlier.
Fantastic, fantastic. Another question, and I am mindful of our time. We'll try to get through as many of these as possible. Another question, I know, Sarah, one of the slides you talked about good versus bad goals. What would you consider to be a bad goal?
Yeah, it depends. It's like goal setting is very personal, right? Like what might be a good goal for me might be a bad goal for you, and vice versa, right? So I highly recommend for us to also seek out mentors, right? Individual mentors. That's why I'm very passionate in telling everyone about our program, because that's a good way for us to identify if we are identifying a bad goal personally, right? So, but in general, I gave in the presentation or in the slides some guidelines about the SMART technique, right? Like we have to be specific, measurable. Our goal should be attainable or realistic. Same thing with the examples that I've given. We have to be specific. We don't set goals which are very vague, right? Like I just want to have a job, right? Like sometimes some people will tell me, okay, Sarah, I want to find a mentor. And then we will ask them, what type of mentor would you like to meet? Anyone, right? So it's not specific. It's not helping me. It's not helping you, right? So you have to identify personally, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your barriers? Do you think you can achieve that goal? So it's an inventory process. At the same time, it's about unleashing your superpower. Identify first those areas before you identify your goals. And then I've also mentioned about it has to be realistic, right? So sometimes we are setting goals which may not be realistic. For my part, I might say that it's no longer realistic for me to get back into IT. I used to study computer engineering. And for me, I consider that as a bad goal right now because I'm not passionate about it anymore, right? I still enjoy, right, navigating navigating the technology, right? Like, but I'm no longer interested with programming, right? Like those stuff that I used to do before, like I used to program things, but yeah, I'm no longer passionate about that. So for me, that's a bad goal. So yeah, so it's a personal thing. So I definitely highly recommend seek a mentor, seek advice from a career coach as well. right? And yeah, and maybe Venus also has maybe more things to say about a bad goal if you are okay with that, Venus.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, you covered it very well, but exactly as you said, it's very personal. So really knowing yourself and knowing the context that you're in and breaking down basically the big goal into smaller pieces and see what you can achieve. And probably a long term, let's say for some people who are looking for retraining, maybe looking into a full degree can be a bad goal. Right? But for someone who is totally thinking about career change, probably just looking at a diploma program or certificate program, like shorter can be good. Or maybe someone wanted to look at the full degree, that can be good for other individuals. So as you said, very personal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think we have time for one or two. And again, we understand if you need to log off for the audience. I will be sending out a recording of the webinar, so don't worry about that. This question is for Sarah. Are there any programs available for citizenship, or is there any recommendations you can make?
Yeah, very good question. So yeah, for our programs, we accept permanent residents or refugees with final confirmation to become permanent residents. So unfortunately, our programs cannot, for the mentorship part, I mean, we cannot accommodate citizens. But for the networking part, yeah, as you know, virtual sessions, anyone can join the sessions, right? So if they have the link, so yeah, we could also accommodate citizens to join our webinars, but ideally we are funded by the government to serve permanent residents and refugees with final confirmation for permanent residency.
Thank you. And one last question, a bit specific to the Career Loans program. We have an audience member who is based out of Saskatchewan. They're trying to look for a program so that they can use the microloan too. Can they search for programs in other provinces like Alberta? Venus, if you can speak on that.
Sure. So can you look into taking courses from another province? I guess if that's online and if it's an accredited program, you can look into that as opposed to like moving out of the province of your residence. But I guess ultimately, like you wanted to look into something that's covered, something that is accredited in Canada and like nationally, it's accepted here in Canada. And if it's online and if it is a short program, I would say that seems to be doable. However, I can't give you confirmation right now. I think best is if you can connect with our Saskatchewan counselor, Cheryl. You can connect with me and I can actually pass your information to her so she can actually explain you more in details.
And again, with these case-by-case situation, it's best to just reach out to our counselor specifically, or if you have questions for Sarah about your individual circumstances, reach out to us individually. Anyone on the team would be more than happy to answer your questions. With that being said, I want to thank everyone for attending today. And I see we're just past the hour, so I'm just going to wrap up really quickly. I'm going to ask Sarah and Venus to stay on the camera while we conclude today's presentation. I'm going to share my screen once again. Let's see, here we go. Our upcoming webinar. Let's see, let's get this, there we go. Our upcoming webinar is filing taxes as a new Canadian. Tax season is just around the corner. So we do have an expert who will be talking about what you need to know as a newcomer about filing taxes. That's going to be on February 9th, 12 p.m. Mountain Time or 1 p.m. Saskatchewan time, similar to today. In addition, I mentioned the survey. I'll be sending you out an email, so don't worry about copying on this link, but just fill it out. It takes 1 minute and it really does help us prepare for future webinars. Last but certainly not least, here is everyone's contact information. If you are in Saskatchewan, you're interested in career loans, we have a toll-free number and an email. Similarly, you can contact Venus through this Alberta number, the 1-800-928-1166 or info@careerloans.ca. And of course, Sarah can be reached by her email or the ERIEC website. Don't worry about jotting all this down. I'm sending out an email to follow up, so don't worry. With that being said, though, I want to thank everyone once again for joining us. Someone's asking, will you be sending the link for the upcoming webinar? Yes, I will. It'll be in that email. Thank you for asking. I do want to thank everyone for coming to today's presentation in the audience. Sarah, thank you very much for delivering a wonderful presentation, and Venus for explaining the career loans program. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone, for participating, and thanks, Sarah, for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you, Gavin. Thank you, Venus. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice day, everyone. Bye for now.
Bye now.